All right. Well, welcome to the FCMG Podcast, Justin. We have our guest here, Justin Mitchell from King Studios.
What's going on?
We've been friends for a long time. We've known each other, but this is going to be our first podcast together. It is 1/29. It's January 29th, 2020. So yeah, we got our list right here. We're gonna look through and see what we're gonna talk about. As always, with our first episode with people, we tend to talk about the genesis of their creative career and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And with you, we were making our list earlier, and you mentioned you were inspired by your dad.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it was around the age of 7 or 8. He bought me like a starter guitar, like it's like those mini junior guitars, acoustic guitars.
Okay.
And I would start tinkering around with that, just fiddling around because I didn't know anything, obviously. I just made noise.
Yeah.
But he would play all the time and sing all the time, so I would like take that in and try to just copy him basically.
Yeah.
But
emulation,
yeah.
Emulate your
yeah. See, it's music. Like, who doesn't like music, especially at a young age? It's extremely stimulating. And
oh yeah, I remember those little like the little player pianos. Not player pianos. That's something else. But like the little tiny kids pianos.
Oh god.
It like I kind of want one nowadays, just for like that really perfect toy sound that they have.
It,
yeah, that'd be great. Sorry. So your dad was a musician then.
Yeah.
He played. You said guitar and piano.
A little bit of piano, but mainly guitar.
Gotcha.
And his side of the family was more music oriented. Like, my aunt plays piano. My grandmother played like guitar, and I guess it just passed on Mitchell stream. Genes passed on.
It's in the genes.
It is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's so that kind of pushed you into lessons eventually, right? You started with piano, you said?
I did start with piano, and I didn't retain like anything. I kind of just retained like having some like, I don't know, finger placement and making some good sounding chords that I didn't know it really was.
Yeah.
But it kind of helped just to open the doorway a little bit.
Yeah, get you on that road.
Yeah. Like, I don't really know any technical theory. I know a little bit of theory. Like, I know enough to get me by, like key and like what's the key of the song and what notes work. Like, I definitely know enough to get by, but I can't sit there and be like, I know a G major 7th.
Yeah, and then like play that out on the piano, like a suspended 9 chord,
I wish I could.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, but yeah. So it's just, I guess it's just in the genes,
Yeah. So that music interest peaked early for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So you started off with piano, and I mean, I did the same thing. I had piano lessons as a kid, and like I remember me and my brother would do them. Like, he was a couple years older than me, so he'd always be like way better, and in my head I would just be like, it's impossible to be that good, like I can't ever. And it's like, dude, he's like 5 years older than you. Just wait a little bit, you'll be fine. But so you moved on to guitar eventually.
Yeah, I did move on to guitar. Fast forward till I guess like middle school, maybe like at the end of elementary school into middle school, picked up like some starter guitars, like like a Strat type of guitar.
Yeah.
Playing like Green Day and all the
nice
Blink 182, like the easy kind of like start you off playing chords and bar chords kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Then I like started diving into like CKY and like a little bit of harder stuff.
Okay.
Like
later
on.
CKY.
And then I had my Van Halen kick for like a while. Like, I went to a used CD shop, bought all the CDs for like $2, like dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And I was just like into Van Halen for a long time. I'd probably say until about high school I got out of Van Halen. Well, I didn't get out, but I just, I cooled off a little bit.
It was the hair metal period of your life.
It's just Van Hagar, dude. I can't. Once I started hearing that, I was like, ew.
Like, ooh.
What are you doing? Get David back in here, but...
Yeah. I remember seeing a T-shirt that was like, "Who died and made you David Lee Roth?" And it's like just some dude doing like a huge like split kick in the air, and it's like, yeah, man, that guy had it. Like,
yeah.
Oh man. So this is around middle school. You're starting to get into this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you said around that same time was when you started getting into recording.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So I've always kind of had like a way of recording ever since I started playing guitar, just to critique myself or just because I had, ideas for songs.
Yeah.
And start off with that Talk Boy thing from Home Alone. Like,
oh my gosh.
The little silver thing, like you press the button and you like talk into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that in like, is that the first episode of Home Alone where he has that? Or
I think
is that
so.
like number 2 or something? But yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that it started with the Talkboy.
Yeah.
And like I would just like put it down and play guitar and like sing about stuff. I don't even remember what I would sing about, honestly. I was like watching Puff the Magic Dragon back then, so I couldn't imagine it being like, really impressive or anything. But
This is your deep years.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was my transformational period.
Nice.
And then we get into the cassette recorders and the dual tape deck karaoke machines that you plug in like a crappy mic into like the jack, or you plug a keyboard into it and just like rig it and it sounds horrible.
Oh yeah.
Just, like play drums on a Casio keyboard and then like flip the tape deck and play some crappy guitar with like a little pod thing and like a little Digitech pedal going in. That's what I did for a while too. That was like before middle school or high school.
Interesting.
But,
yeah, so you got a real early start with like messing around with recording and all that stuff, eh?
Just messing around.
Yeah.
Really just rigging things, but just making it work anyways.
Like we were when we were talking, we were getting our list together for the podcast. I remember you mentioning, I was like, so like when did it kind of start? When did it hit you? And you're like 7 or 8. It's like Jesus, I think it was like 24 for me.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I just always been fascinated and like drawn to audio and recording and music and just melodies. Like, I think that's probably why I always have like a song in my head. Like, it's not even a real song. It's just like music.
Okay.
Like just like drums, whether it's a rock band or I don't know, just something I just hear in my head.
Yeah.
But there's always something playing like 24/7, and I think I might actually have like a mental disorder. But that's a good thing though too, I guess. So.
Yeah. Hey, you put it to work for you, so that's good. That's like me, where I'm always like imagining scenes in my head, and it's like, well, now I can actually just put them into a camera.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess it's okay.
It's like one of these days, I just need to catch myself when I have the song in my head and just have my full like setup so I can just do it.
Yeah.
But it always happens when I'm just like chilling and I'm home and I'm away from the studio and it's like decompressed time.
Yeah.
Then all the music starts playing in my head because I just got done editing like all these bands and my mind's just on their stuff. And now I get to come home and it just like pops off.
You're all nice and relaxed. It just starts, coming out. You don't have any inhibitions in that sense. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people come up with their best ideas in like the shower or while they're pooping.
I've literally come up with parts while taking a dump.
Yeah,
like I swear to God, from the toilet to the computer, like
they don't call it the throne for nothing.
Exactly,
it's the throne of creativity, is what it is.
Yeah,
that's too funny.
It's really weird because one time I was recording a band who they were like they needed some help writing the song.
Yeah,
and they couldn't figure out a bridge. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go take a dump real quick, and I'm going to write it in there. And I did, and I came back, and I just recorded it, got it done. And, like, they're just like, what the fuck?
You're like, how did you have that already? Wow.
It's like just me leaving this, area for a minute, let my brain turn back on. Because, like, when you're recording a band and there's a bunch of people in there, you basically turn into a counselor or like something. Yeah. You're like trying to mediate everyone's thoughts and like trying to make it work. But sometimes you can't even think for yourself because there's so much just like energy from people.
Oh, geez.
You just got to leave and just like reassess, come back and like clear your mind or go to the bathroom.
Whatever works. Right? That's funny. Yeah, no, I feel the exact same way. Like a lot of editors and video people that I know of, they talk about like, if you're ever getting so far into a color correction, like finish color, like do a round and then take a walk.
Yeah.
Like go somewhere else where your eyes are going to adjust to different things. Like in your case, your ears are going to hear different things. You're just going to be in a different environment. You're going to get to like relax a little bit. And then you walk back, you sit back at that computer and things are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like I was noticing that even earlier today, I was working on some color correction and like I did some work and then I went up and outside and inside there's a whole different balance of sound, a different balance of light and color and all this stuff. And I come back and I'm like, wow, that looks terrible. He just like fixed all my
crap. I've done that before.
It looks so much better. Yeah.
Give it the good old car test and just like, oh.
Yeah,
I got really lost in thought there for a while.
That's when you go through like different speakers, right? So like I sort of do the same thing. I like watch things on my phone and on my computer, and then I have a couple different monitors over there so I can see what it looks like. But like what do you go through for the car test?
Basically, like when I'm trying to wrap up, where's the sweet spot? Here we go. When I'm trying to wrap up, I need to sound good. When I'm trying to wrap up a song. And it usually comes to the point where, like, I'm getting to, like, the 90% to 100% mix where I think nothing bothers me. and it sounds good. It gels together.
Yeah.
I'll usually just take it in my car, and I have like these Bose headphones. I'll do like my phone. I'll use the speakers in my car, nice with the Harman Kardon speakers. It's like got the sub, it's got the 10 speakers surround.
Nice.
And it's not like, it doesn't hype any bass or anything, which is why I like it. It just, like, either the Bose headphones, like, it doesn't hype anything.
So it doesn't like push it up. Like you get kind of like a flat stereo response, right?
Yeah.
Or flat studio response, I guess that's called, right?
It's pretty true to what I hear in my studio. So
Nice.
I like it. Like some speakers, they're tainted from the factory or whatever they do. Like I've been in cars where like it's just so muddy and like extremely bassy, and it's really hard to car test that because that's not the way things really sound.
Yeah, it doesn't give you an accurate portrayal.
Or like you're gonna put on a pair of Beats that have extended low range and they just pump like massive amounts of bass out.
Yeah.
Like you can't really test that. You need to test on something that you know is somewhat like flat. And for me, that's my cell phone and my speakers in my car, my Bose headphones, and my studio monitor. So between all that, where I kind of make my judgment calls.
I remember you had told me about that a couple of years ago, like the whole idea of like flat speakers and monitors and headphones and things. And I remember like I was in a conversation with someone and I'm like, yeah, I've got these in-ear monitors that have like a really nice flat frequency response. And they're like, no, I use these Beats by, like, it was Beats again, not to give them
the people pleasers.
Yeah. Where it's marketed so heavily and they're like, yeah, everything sounds great through these. And I'm like, well, you look at, like, you compare the chart for frequency response and they have like a massive low end kick and then like a high end spike. And it's like, okay, well, it's not accurate.
It's just
it
like,
might sound great, but
it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, jeez.
I like to be able to hear things evenly. And then if I want to add more bass, I will do it with the EQ on my stereo.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a song that way permanently or use something that's permanently fixed like that,
Yeah.
Ugh, it's just, oh God, I could go on forever about that. It's just whatever. People like bass. It's the pleasure frequencies,
Yeah. It's more low end vibration, and people are just like, oh.
You're not gonna hear someone be like, oh, I love like 4 or 5K. It just sounds so good.
Yeah.
Like no one says that, and if they do, then it's probably a dog or a cat saying that.
That's why I used to play in a band where we down tuned to F, which is like 30 hertz or something like that. And like some headphones and speakers can't even handle that, so you just get like wind out of them. And people are like, wow, dude, your bass parts sound so great. I'm like, that's funny because you actually didn't hear it.
Dude, that's nuts.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, total people pleasers.
It's so low. How do you... It gets weird when you tune that low because like you're in like the kick drum fundamental frequency.
Yeah.
And then like double drop bass, like that's so low that you need to have like some alien technology to probably hear it the right way. And if you were to play that on like a vinyl or something, like you have to like low cut vinyls at like 100 to 200 hertz. So,
oh, really?
Because the needle, and if it's more wobbly with the low end, it'll break the fucking needle.
Oh.
So they cut out a lot of low end on vinyl.
Interesting.
It's just weird. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I found that out like a year ago.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have to master your songs differently for vinyl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean,
yeah, it's weird.
I wonder if it's the same thing for like tape,
I don't know too much about tape.
I feel like that wasn't a very like high fidelity, like I feel like some of the high end was cut off and some of the low end was cut off. Like it was bookended like that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, speaking of going from tape to digital.
Yeah.
That's wow, this is a great segue. I just pulled us right back to okay, so around middle school was when you started switching from, or like going into high school is when you started switching from tape stuff, like working with the Talkboy and tape recording.
Yeah, it's crazy to even say that.
Into digital. Like you started getting into computers and recording bigger things like that.
Yeah. High school, like towards the end of high school, I was downloading some not so great DAWs, but they did the trick of like Magic's Music Maker and like all those weird little things,
I remember Magic's.
Yeah.
Magic's had a video thing too.
Yeah. I think I downloaded that one too.
Yeah.
But it works.
Terrible. Yeah.
It did what you got to do. It's not the best, but you can get your ideas on there and
and that's the important part. Just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
If you can finish something on it, done.
Right. Like you might not be able to make the tightest EQ band, but your music is on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I started with that, and then I kind of worked my way to this DAW called Cakewalk. from Sonar.
Interesting.
They've gone through a whole bunch of names and companies since then, but
Yeah.
I've been with them since like 2005 or 6, maybe even earlier than that. But like for a while, I've been with them for like a very long time.
Yeah.
So I started messing with it, Cakewalk, and that was like Sonar 6 or something. It's like real early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought this. Line 6 makes the Tone Farm or whatever, the Pod Farm.
Oh, the Pod Farm? Yeah. I remember that one.
The little, it's like a little interface, real small. It's like one input.
That thing's still being used today.
Yeah, it's got a mic in and line in for guitar, and it's cool because there's a software that you can like replicate, like real guitar rigs, and we would record in that way. And
that was one of the first like digital amp sims, right?
I think so. To my knowledge, there probably was some other ones, but they were nothing as good as that. I would feel like maybe some like Digitech stuff, but it sounded horrible.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard people recently talking about like, oh yeah, I'm working on my Pod Farm, whatever. If anyone's got any like weird tones that I can use,
and you could share the tones, which was like, it's like revolutionary. People are sharing like bleed patches and like crazy things. Like there's so many effects on there, you could just get lost, and I would get lost all the time. Just make cool tones. Yeah. So cool.
And searching for tones, that was a big one.
Go to the cloud, you just download tones, play through them, like, oh, that sounds terrible. Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have kind of like a newer version of that. Basically, it's the Pod HD 400 or 300. I forget which one I have. But it's like a pedal version, and you can load in these sims. You can edit them right on there.
Yeah,
like
that's awesome.
There's so much stuff that you can do with these things. They got
crazy.
So good.
Yeah, it's crazy what is going on right now. Yeah, with recording and just music equipment. It's crazy.
And that was kind of around the time, like when you got that Pod Farm, that was around the time that like torrenting and shareware and stuff like that was hugely popular. Yeah. Like I feel like it's kind of petered down a little bit nowadays. It's obviously still out there, but yeah, it's like that was like the thing to do back in the day. Yeah. Like I had a crack Photoshop version for sure.
Yeah, I definitely had some crack stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I also got viruses, so don't do that.
Yeah. That's why we don't torrent things anymore, because viruses.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. And it didn't work good. They crash your shit all the time. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Makes work unreliable. Yeah. I had like this, like it was pretty cool for what it was, but it wouldn't work for like any, that was a great sound, by the way.
That was great. ASMR.
It wasn't great for doing any really intense work, but it was a version of Photoshop. It was like CS3 that you could put on a USB drive and go up to any computer and just plug it in.
Yeah, I had one of those. It was like a portable thing.
Yeah.
I used to have Photoshop.
Oh, it's incredible.
That's where I learned how to do crappy edits.
Yeah. Wasn't that thing? Yeah, when you opened it the first time, it would crash immediately, and then you'd have to open it a special way. So it was only if you knew those steps could you actually get it to work.
That's messed up.
Yeah, but it was great.
It works.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of power in just having software that you can practice in.
Software is everything.
Yeah, and if eventually you get to the point where you can actually afford to do it, then buy it and start going professional with it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, if you're charging people, don't use crack stuff. That's messed up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so using these digital interfaces, that's when you started to get into an area where you could record bigger things like vocals, and you were getting into drum sets at the time.
Yeah. So let's see. Like later high school, I was in a different band, and I started tracking drums, but it wasn't like a conventional way where you plug in all the mics into a big interface. Right. There was snare, kick toms. I don't even know if there was an overhead. I might have just put one up. Nothing crazy. But we had a mixer we put it through and did a mono out to my tone port because that's all I had at the time, the one input. Okay. I mean, it worked. It was, it's not that great, but it's a drum set that you can hear,
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
But yeah, recorded vocals through that thing too, and it's actually cool because on Pod Farm there was even vocal compressors and and preamp emulation. That thing was so ahead of its time. There's EQs emulated from classic hardware. Wow! So it was really cool, and I didn't actually really even know that, but now I know that. But it was cool because I was actually using that stuff the right way, but not knowing I was. I was just like, oh, here's a compressor, just turn it up. But that's what it's for, is a vocal compressor. Dang. And vocals, they turned out okay on that thing. For a demo, Obviously wouldn't do it now, but
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
And I had like compressed vocals that were pretty decent that sat in the mix.
Jeez.
So that little tone port did everything I needed.
Yeah.
At the time. It was great.
That's wild.
And I wasn't even using like studio speakers, because obviously there's like the left and right monitor outs. I was just using like the computer speakers at that time. So that was still pretty raw dog.
And that's like, you said there might still be some material up on your old MySpace or something?
There's definitely some stuff up on MySpace.
Yes.
At least. I'm going to have to do some digging, but it's out there. It should be out there.
If we can find it, we're going to put a MySpace link down below.
All right, yeah. And this is high school, so don't judge too hard.
Yeah, this is early stuff. We're obviously going to have some more links in there.
There's definitely some auto-tune going on, okay? I'll tell you that right now.
How did you do auto-tune back in the day?
Plugins. There was auto-tune plugins, and that's about the time I was getting into it, like middle high school. I was finding out what plugins were cool and what worked for me.
Okay.
And running into auto-tune, which I totally cracked like an asshole, but I own it now. I full out own like multiple different types of auto-tune.
Yeah.
Okay, I paid my dues. But I cracked some crappy auto-tunes, like auto-tune 6, and it always like bug out on me. But there's like the mode where you can do graph, where you can track and trace the melody, or you could just have the full-blown keyboard where it just kind of goes where it sounds like it's going.
Yeah.
And it corrects it a bit, but that's what I would do.
And you like fine-tune it in there.
You could choose what key, but I don't think I even did that back then.
Yeah. That's like how, that's sort of like how Melodyne works, right? It's
Yeah.
sort of like the what is that, piano roll they call that?
Yeah.
And then you can move it up, down, notes.
Melodyne is sweet because it does time as well, really good.
Yeah. Program's wild.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like I've timeline edited violins on Melodyne, like guitars, bass, like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, just technology is just crazy.
Yeah, it's like once you get into digital too, like it becomes so much more of like you can make mistakes and it's totally fine. Like if you're working with tape or if you're working with film, like it's not as forgiving. So moving into this digital era, like we really had the opportunity to kind of mess up and
you got
have
a computer
it be okay.
now. If something's off time, move it back.
Yeah.
Cut it back.
Jeez.
It's just so much you can do.
Do you remember what kind of computer you were working with back in the day?
It's probably some like real crappy 4 gig RAM kind of Dell thing, maybe like a maybe 200 gig hard drive, something.
Jeez.
Just garbage.
I remember like the first computers we were rolling with. Nowadays we got that on lock.
Yeah.
All right,
garbage.
Let's check our. All right, so yeah, we talked about Pod Farm, digital amps, stuff like that. Okay, so like before you started really getting into the business and like touring and all that stuff, you made a real big decision in your life. I feel like it would have been hard, but you were actually like encouraged.
I was like, whatever, dude. It's drop out of high school. Like,
yeah.
My parents were like, you might as well. And I basically just, what happened was I transferred schools during middle school. At the end of middle school, went to a different high school.
Oh, okay.
It's called Northampton High School. It's in Northampton, Pennsylvania. I'm not to say it was a bad school or anything. You know, it was a perfectly fine school. I just was not interested whatsoever.
Yeah. Geez, I feel you there.
I didn't give a crap. I didn't want to wake up at 5 o'clock every day like some number and some slave and just drone out to something that I'm never gonna pertain to me or have any significance in my life. Yeah. So I skipped a lot, man.
Yeah.
I was a bad apple. Maybe not, but I skipped a lot, and I was encouraged by my guidance counselor to just drop out completely and go get your GED, which I did. I got my GED like a couple weeks later.
Gotcha.
Super easy. Like if I would have known I could have just done that, I would have not went to high school.
Yeah.
Because it was like middle school knowledge for that thing. But yeah, I quit high school. And then I started focusing on what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which
that kind of opened things up for you.
Yeah. It's like, it's not Algebra 1. It's not, learning about some random historical event. It's just like writing music and figuring out what I like and what makes me, passionate about stuff.
Yeah. Like you already knew the direction that you wanted to go in. You already had you were sort of pointing in that direction already.
Yeah.
So like you were at a point where like you needed to get that out of the way. Yeah. I feel like that's a big decision to make, but at the same time, like it was a big boost to your career. Like it gave you the opportunity to actually start doing this stuff.
It's like now you're really screwed now if you don't shape up. So you got to go into overdrive and figure shit out.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't fail at that point or else you're just, yeah.
Or else I'm going to be getting that Mick job.
Yeah.
No. I had a sort of Mick job. I worked for Napa Auto Parts, and I got minimum wage.
Yeah.
And that was just like, this is reality. I don't want anything to do with this crap. Like, I'm doing music. Like, this shit sucks. And I just bailed, and I went on tour for the first time with my band. Just, like, ditched all of the 9-to-5 shit right there. Like, done.
Like every photographer that I know has a story like that where they're like, yeah, I was working at this place, and then like I did the same thing. I used to work at a paint store, and you're just hauling like the big 5-gallon buckets of paint and just hating my life. And the one day I was like, shoot, and I get an email or message from someone. They're like, hey, can you do photos or like a video for my band? Like I'll give you like $800. And I was like, that's more than I make in a month. I'm doing this. Like
Yes.
I'm like, and I just like walked out the door. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, this is. Like so,
It's
for some
crazy.
people, it just doesn't mesh, like working for other people or like just having like a job.
Yeah. I mean, it's so stressful, though, at the same time, which is something we probably will get to later. The stresses of it, which there's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a trade-off, There's a trade-off with it, but
For sure.
I couldn't do it any other way. Like, oh, man. I just see people, like, drone over jobs for, like, years and get nowhere. Like, they're just doing the same thing for 10, 20, 30, maybe 40 years. And then they look back and, like, they never try to go after their dream or do what, inspired them.
Yeah. And it's rough to see that too.
It is.
I was having a conversation
crushing.
with someone the other day about like one of the big benefits of freelancing is that you don't have to impress your boss. Like you don't have to go the extra mile to like do that thing because you're literally just trying to impress yourself and your clients.
Yeah.
And you inherently care about your clients because they're the ones that like make your business a reality. So it's just passion throughout, as opposed to like, oh, well, Bob's going to give me trouble if I don't do that report right. It's like, that's not motivation. That's
slavery.
Yeah, you're just avoiding like something unpleasant. And if your work is something unpleasant, like
that's not good.
That sucks.
You can't live your life like that.
Yeah.
Like if you at least have a job that you thoroughly enjoy or you enjoy somewhat, then that's good.
Yeah.
But if you have a job that like you don't even want to live your life because of that thing, then you need to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
And now, like you mentioned that they're your stressors. Like we're going to talk about that at a later point. But despite those stressors, would you still do what you do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Same place.
Absolutely.
I totally feel that.
I'll take some gray hair and some fat any day. 'Cause you know why? I don't know. Because it feels good.
Yeah, or because we're happy in the end.
Yeah, 'cause we're happy in the end. That's what life's all about.
Okay, so dropping out was a big turning point. So this gave you the opportunity to start working more with recording. So you started tracking other bands and all this stuff. And as a musician, you started moving further too. Do you want to? Well, let's talk about. Okay, yeah. So as a musician, you got the opportunity to get your band recorded by someone pretty intense.
Yeah, and even at the time, like he wasn't anything yet.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that later on it turned into snowballed into a big thing.
Yeah.
But I was in a band at the end of high school called I Am King. Made it with a couple buddies there. I was actually in a band with the guitar player before, and I sang, and that was the MySpace band I was referencing before.
Okay.
So we started, doing some stuff on our own. We're like, we kind of both like heavier stuff, more like trippier, fast-paced rock.
Yeah.
So we're just like, we kind of shied away and started doing this other thing. And I'm like, well, I know some vocalists that I used to work with in the past, so I hit them up. And then I hit up just a couple other people that I worked with before in bands. We formed this band called I Am King, and we wrote like an EP, and actually not even an EP. We wrote like 3 or 4 songs, and in our area that got like a lot of hype and people really into it. Because at that time it was like 2006, 7, somewhere in there, and there wasn't really like crazy good like recordings for bands like that, so we kind of fit in like pretty close, like not too far off, because they were still using like Pod Farm and stuff and samples anyways, and that's what we were doing. So like we were kind of blending in with like those rise core scene kind of bands, a little bit.
So like the bands that were at that time sort of like the top of their game, you were still within the same range of quality.
It wasn't like obviously the same but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
And people,
It's comparable.
yeah, people were into it. They loved it. And, you know, we had a lot of people at our shows. We'd sell a ton of tickets. Like, we put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard at it, just writing. And we even, like, went as far as just doing, like, a set stage choreography with, like, individual blocks. And for, like, okay, this verse, Justin, you move here. Dan's going to go here. We're going to cross sides. And when the verse is over, next part, next page, the squares. Okay, we're going to move here. The singers are going to come back. You guys are going to move up. Like, we went into, like, detail, like this weird shit that people probably don't even think of.
Yeah.
Like stage presence stuff. And like, we're just going hard, a bunch of, you know, good looking young dudes. And we got picked up by a label and they wanted us to record, you know, an album. And before that, we had our own EP that we had recorded with Taylor Larson. And that's like what really attracted them, like hearing that EP. So that our first time ever recording was like 2009 to 10, I think.
Okay.
That's the first time we met Taylor Larson.
Yeah.
And back then that was like still MySpace days, so it wasn't really quite on the Facebook thing yet.
Okay.
And
I remember that was right after I graduated. And that was I went to the same high school as your drummer did. And that's how I kind of got to know you guys through there. So there, like, I was sort of like satellite around your band for a little bit. I would hear about you guys putting on shows. Everyone was talking about it, like, and you weren't even a band from our school, which is like, our school was very internal with the music that we listened to. Like, we just sort of were our own little group because we were out in the country. We didn't go anywhere. But I remember Tito was talking about, like, oh yeah, you know, you gotta check out Croc Rock. Like, wow, like that was blew my mind going to Croc Rock and seeing you guys play. Actually, that was wild.
We played Croc Rock quite a few times.
Yeah, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
it's been torn down. But
oh yeah,
that place was amazing.
Yeah, had a lot of good memories there, and we actually had our band picture framed on the wall where the pizza shop was.
Oh wow,
we actually made it, and then it got fucking ripped down.
Oh no,
it's like, oh, we finally made it at our home venue. Our picture's up on the wall. Oh, it gets ripped down.
Jesus,
tragic story.
Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, that's so you guys were like, you were really blown up, and then after like the year that I graduated, you guys went to record, because I remember you guys were talking about, like, yeah, we're gonna be doing like touring. Do you guys want to? You all ready to do this? You're like,
no, we're
you
not
guys
ready
are really
to do this.
gunning for it though.
Yeah, we're crazy.
And then
totally
you went
not
to
ready
record
for
with Taylor, right?
Yeah, went to record there, and that was like my first time ever being in a professional environment, in a setting.
What was his studio like?
So basically, at that studio, he was there up until like last year. He just moved out of that space.
Oh wow!
But you walk in, there's like a little lounge, couches, TV, you know, hallway that goes to the control room, and then you follow it out to like a large drum room. And he had like a vocal booth set up in there.
Wow.
He had like a couple like side studio rooms, you know, like within proximity to his room. They were all like connected. There would be like little like guys who would probably rent out the little room, and they would do like, I don't know, like R&B or something. Like each little room had like a different dude in there.
Yeah.
But he had like the overall space that they worked like for him. They probably paid him the rent or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like a decent sized studio, and just being there and like seeing how things are done and how it should sound and how instruments sound when they're properly set up and in tune, and like, you know, it's like professional as shit. You're just like in amazement. Like the first time you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like your brain is just going off, and you just sit down playing the guitar like while he's out at lunch through an Axe Effects, and you're just like, whoa, this is crazy. And we wrote a lot of stuff there just like when he wasn't there. He's like, yeah, just turn it on. I'll set the tracks up. If you want to do some leads, just record some stuff. And we would just sit there and like literally just like put tons of shit on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first time being there. We came back to do 2 more songs, and then after that is when we got signed. We got the deal from Rise and Velocity, and they're like, yeah, well, we're going to do 3 albums. So we're just like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Because, yeah, I mean, we're just like, yeah, we want it. We just really want it.
Yeah.
So fuck it. Even though, you know, it's this percentage, yeah, who cares? Let's just do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a big deal to like have a contract like proposed to you as a band like that.
Yeah.
Did you guys have like management or anything like that? Were you guys managing yourselves, or was it did you have someone doing that for you?
We did have a management for a little bit. It was Outer Loop Management, and we were managed for like maybe like a year before we got signed.
Okay.
But our manager's name is Mike Mowry. He was like good friends with Dave Shapiro, who owns Velocity.
Yeah,
So
I've
he
heard that
like
name.
he kind of had like a nice dinner with him, presented him, our music, and he was into it. So that's kind of how it all went down.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a record, full length record, which was crazy. Doing that at a young age, like seeing what goes into it. It was a lot of work.
Who did you record with for that album?
That was Taylor Larson as well.
That was Taylor's too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
We like fought for him. Like, yeah, we just really want to go back because he'd always put his like 2 cents in and like, just diagnose her song and be like, yeah, we got to
help guide you.
You got to cut. You have a 5-minute song. You got to cut this shit up.
Yeah.
This needs to be 3:30. You need choruses. You need verses. This is just a bunch of parts that are regurgitated onto a demo. Like, you guys need some help.
Okay.
You got 2 singers. You need a. I don't care. You got to make a 3:30 song.
So he helped you guys kind of like focus in that way.
Definitely. And kind of broke down the ego barrier right there at a young age. Like, I really liked that part. I really liked that part. That was a cool part, and I can't even use it now. It's like, whatever. The song sounds awesome, so serve the song. Figured it out at a young age. You gotta quit with the egotistical stuff and serve the message and serve the music. It's very important.
Yeah. You got to focus on like what's actually important in the music. Gotcha.
It's very important.
That's huge.
So, yeah,
So
a lot of learning in that time with being there. I learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a huge development. Like, I mean, as an engineer too, like just being able to see Taylor work and like do all that stuff, being involved in that process must have been really helpful.
Yeah, because I get to see how it's done, and I would always ask, what are you doing? What's that? What is that? Oh, I'm just quantizing the drums. What is that?
Quantizing? Yeah.
Yeah, just crazy stuff.
So for people who don't know, what is quantizing? Because that's a pretty big thing.
Quantizing is making a human into a machine. That's what quantizing is. That's basically what it is.
It's taking those little tiny notes and just moving them like just perfectly on the beat.
Yeah.
Isn't there like you can quantize like 80% or like 20% of the way. So you're just like pushing it more towards perfect.
Yeah.
But you're not exactly making it perfect.
Some programs do that. Melodyne does that. There's like a slider where you can go from 0 to 100 and it's kind of like, it makes it a little more loose or just snaps it right in.
Gotcha.
Which is cool because, sometimes you don't always want to sound like a robot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do.
Got to have some emotion in there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
So you recorded that second album with Taylor. Mm-hmm. That was your first signed album.
Yeah.
And then was it after that you guys went on tour?
Yeah. Well, oh Jesus. So no, I think we toured before that.
Okay. So you were touring before that. Was it before the record deal?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
This is after high school, after your first recordings with Taylor, then you start getting into touring.
Yeah. Oh God, what a mess.
How old were you when you started touring like that?
I would say I was probably 19, 20.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
And when we talk about tours, like I know I've been in bands that are like, we're going on a tour and we just drive like an hour north and then come back. That's not a tour.
No, dude, like full U.S. tour.
Oh, Jesus.
Or like go up through Canada, come back through Chicago, go down to like bumfuck breadbasket and make your way up the East Coast. Like,
yeah. I remember the time. Was it the second time you guys came up to Canada?
Maybe. We were in Canada a couple times.
I think there's a time after that too where I was on the West Coast. Yeah, jeez.
Dude, it's fucked up because I actually I got a concussion on tour and I have like so many memories that I just don't even remember.
Oh, jeez.
It's kind of fucked up, but like it's actually true. Like I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying at one of our shows. It was in where the hell was it? I think it was in like New Mexico or something.
Oh, jeez.
Or no, it was in Denver because the sound dude gave me a fucking gummy for the pain.
Oh.
There was this asshat that was like pushing little girls in the crowd. And I was like, dude, fuck
like
this
crowd
guy,
killing.
dude. I fucking pushed him on the floor and he got back up and fucking headbutted me.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
like I was just like, dude, it was like so much blood. I was just covered in blood. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, did you get you like right in the nose?
Oh, he got me. I got an Owen Wilson for like 2 years.
Oh,
it's like
no.
fucked up nose.
Yeah.
And they like kicked him out. Cops took him away. And he's like, do you want to press charges? I'm like, no, I just want to stop feeling this fucking broken nose.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you smoke weed? We're in Denver. All right, yeah, I do. He's like, here, take this little Tootsie Roll. It's like 500 milligrams or some crazy shit. And I took that shit and I was like, holy fuck, dude. That's the first edible I ever had in my life.
Good Lord, yeah.
And I was,
like like a 50 milligram edible is a lot. Like that's a good amount for people. So like
I was done after that.
yeah, that would man.
But I didn't feel my nose anymore, so it worked.
Yeah, that's for sure. That would definitely do the trick.
And then the night after, Tito crowd surfed and kicked me in the nose and re-broke it.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Shit.
So yeah, that happened right again.
Oh my gosh.
So I just cracked it right back open the nozzle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's just turn the fountain on.
Dude, my nose is so jacked looking.
You probably had some nice shirts just all covered in blood though.
Yeah,
I
did. It was a good time though, you know.
Should see if you can find those and frame them.
Dude, I could sell them on eBay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good times. At the time, it was a horrible time, but now looking back on it,
Yeah.
I'll always remember. It's kind of funny. But yeah, we toured for like 2 years.
Okay.
Did some full U.S. tours, did some Canada tours. We never really went out of that territory, though. We never went to somewhere else, like, I don't know, in Europe, which I always really
Right.
wanted to tour Europe. That would have been so cool.
Yeah, that'd be intense.
Yeah, like, that would have been a really, really cool dream to have come true.
Well, there's still time left, you know?
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to get across to...
You never know.
Across the pond.
Get this gut off the producer's chair, and who knows? Who
Let me
knows?
pull this off my desk. No, I do this. I'm in the same spot.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So, yeah. I mean, touring is a whole another thing. But at that age, like, that's
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
It's
wild.
so crazy. Like,
So, like, doing those tours and doing all that stuff and, like, moving more towards, like, the serious end of music, at what point did you start realizing that, like, oh, crap, like, we have to treat this like a business?
I don't know. I think for some of us, that never really stuck.
Okay.
And for some, it did. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We were just, like, so young, and like it was all happening pretty quick. And I don't know. I don't think any of us really knew how to handle it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't. Some of us handled it good. Some of us obviously didn't. But that's to be expected. Like, we're young.
Yeah.
You know, shit's fucking crazy.
Yeah. You're all
But,
learning. You
yeah.
know?
Basically, at some point, we just started, like, members started falling off, just either personal or, you know, whatever reason, life shit
Yeah.
happens.
Stress.
So yeah, that happening voided our contract. Thankfully, we didn't owe any money. We didn't owe anything at all.
Oh, wow.
They cut it clean because we were supposed to be on for 2 more albums, which is kind of
Wow.
like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But they clean slated us for everything, and it's like, yeah, you got the name, you can keep the name. Like, we just
Nice.
have these songs, like, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it.
I mean, like, in terms of, like, a contract, like, that's pretty good, like, to have like a break in a contract and then to have them follow through that way is pretty okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
at least you're not like, I don't know, you don't get stiffed some money somehow,
Yeah, or like forced to continue being a band when
Right.
like the members don't get along.
or like lose your name or something. It's like,
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, or like someone's, you know, they're in dire straits and they can't tour, but then the album's the record label is like, no, you got to get in there.
Yeah, we got your name. We got your blood on this letter that you signed. You're doing
Signed
it.
your soul away.
That's it. And I thought that was actually a real thing when I was younger. It's like, I will sign my soul. It's not real. It's not real, people. Stop saying that.
I mean, if Ari or Red Cameras, they accept souls, contact me. I got a fresh one for you.
Yo, Neve, if you hear any of this, Neve, if you have one of your desks, you know, like the $300,000 desk, I will sign my soul for that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, they make some crazy stuff. I remember when I went to Full Sail, we got like a discount at Neve, and I like looked at some of their. It was like a 15% discount, which that's a lot of
It
money.
can be a lot with those guys.
Yeah, but like looking at a desk when it's like $6,000 or something like that, I'm just like,
Nope.
okay, this isn't gonna come in handy for me at all.
Nope. That's like the diminishing return thing. Like,
Yeah.
you need to be like seriously cranking out some huge production to be able to afford a desk for like over 100 some grand, because there's desks that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And at that point, you got Billie Eilish making beats in her bedroom, which she doesn't have a Neve desk. She doesn't need that. She just won 5 Grammys.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Yeah. There's a
What's going
little bit of a disparity between the cost of some things and what you actually need.
Yeah.
So
like the quality in microphones, there it's like from here to like here, but it's like thousands of dollars in difference.
yeah,
It's just crazy.
Like these microphones are pretty good. They were $60 a pop.
Yeah.
You know. Meanwhile, there's a microphone that you guys have that's way closer to 10 grand than this is, or actually probably even
It's
could even be above that. But You know, you don't have to say the value, but it's what is it, a vintage Neumann?
It's a vintage Neumann, and it's a weird market because sometimes they're not on the market and sometimes they are. So it's really like what someone will offer and buy. Like they usually go for like 3 or 4 up, but there's
it's very like supply and demand though.
Right. And so as time goes on, obviously like stuff from the 70s is going to be harder and harder to get. So
yeah,
I think the price would go up.
Wow. So they actually they basically appreciate in value over time.
I think so.
That's cool.
Because people don't when people get those mics, like they don't sell them. Like I've had this mic for years and I'm not planning on selling it.
Yeah.
Like I would never do that. So like,
wow.
Like certain people have these mics. It's like the Dragon Balls. They're scattered throughout the world. When someone's in a financial world, they're like, "Oh, I have to sell this mic." Shit. Yeah. Like that's the only time you're getting that mic because they don't make them the same anymore. Yeah. Like they really don't.
Sounds like someone being in a tight spot or something like that. Like they're not gonna do it if they're not gonna like want to sell that mic.
Or like if they're selling their studio, like they're done. They've been recording for 40 years. They're done with audio. Yeah. They're selling their studio. Then you can find them there.
Jeez.
But they're hard to get.
Yeah. There was a big recording studio that used to do like film sound and so they did all the audio for Criminal Minds or something like that. It was a big show in the area. Anyway, when they sold their studio, they pieced out all of their equipment and like they were going to sell their studio for about $300,000 and they ended up selling like $150,000 worth of just used vintage equipment.
Even sound panels, even like everything, snakes, anything they could.
They ripped everything out of the floor. They had like underground channels from the places, and I remember looking at the studio and being like, "Oh, this is awesome. It's totally empty, but it's really cool." And they're like, "Yeah, we just sold all of our equipment." I think they had 2 smaller Neumanns and 1 U87 that they sold, and it was like that went for like $6-7 grand.
I still want to get that place. I think it's still on the market.
Yeah, it might be.
I think it is.
Maybe one day we'll be podcasting from there.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
That'd be fantastic. They have so my big thing about why I love that place, they have there's like a drum riser.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But they built it in a way so that you can take the floor off the drum riser, and right under there's a box of it's like concrete floor. And then there's one that's like all wood floor. There's one that's like big rocks. And then there's one that's like sand.
Yeah.
And it's all meant for Foley audio.
Yeah, yeah.
So you point a shotgun mic at that, and then you do like footsteps in sand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's crazy. Like
that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it's just such a great space. Anyway, we're not plugging that place. Don't buy it. It's terrible. Don't. No. we're gonna get it.
Yeah, don't even say nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Top secret.
So we were talking about moving your band into a business, but as an engineer, you also you went through that same like sort of change.
Yeah.
Where you moved it way towards a business, and now you guys are running King Studios.
Yeah. So basically, from the whole band thing, basically, I'm King is a couple key members right now. It's no one that was from the previous band, except for me.
Yeah.
It's me and like 2 or 3 other guys. So we're working on new music. We'll talk about that later. But now things have kind of shifted from the chaotic touring to like studio time and recording bands.
Yeah.
And just learning, how to record and like just I guess business aspects of music and recording. Yeah. I went from not making too much, like not really charging much because I didn't have really good gear,
right?
And I wasn't obviously as good as I am now, so I would charge very little. I'd charge like $50 a song, like some crazy shit.
Yeah,
like just starting out.
Oh yeah.
But then like obviously you learn a lot and you go through a lot of bullshit, like doing recordings for people. Like you're also dealing with band dudes. Yeah, and a lot of these band dudes are like some kind of flaky, questionable people that you wouldn't really know. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. So you
oftentimes they're like broke or something falls through because they're working like 2-3 jobs, trying to keep things together.
Yeah, so like you just start picking up on things like, okay, well I really need to start like getting money down to reserve time. Like I can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll see you in two weeks and we'll just record. Hopefully you'll show up. Yeah. Like
you can't just do like deals by word anymore. It's like you gotta get like money on the table, get the deposit down. All right, now they're gonna show up.
Deposit is the first step.
Yeah, it's a good motivator for bands too.
Like well, deposit's not refundable. because now I'm out of work for X amount of days.
Yeah.
So you should probably just, try to make this work.
Yeah.
If you were planning on not doing that.
Like if someone's sick, then just, I don't know, force them.
Yeah, just
like get in there.
I don't know.
Yeah. Make that time work. That's like, oh, geez.
Get him a hazmat suit and put him in the other room. He's tracking guitar.
It's like someone booking a whole like video gig and then just being like, oh, I can't do no, not gonna be here today. It's like, shit, man.
Yeah. Like deposits you need deposits.
Yeah, those are key.
Because then, like if you are talking to someone who won't even give you a deposit, like you should just quit wasting your time. Like don't waste your time. Like move on with someone else, next client. Like deposit is like first thing. Get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, this is a thing now. It's not like questionable.
It's a good like red flag to keep an eye out for too. Like if someone's unwilling to give a deposit, that means they're worried about, oh, well, if I change the date or if I cancel, I'm not going to get my money back. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to work with that person anyway.
It's like, yeah, well, now I'm out of work for 2 weeks and my rent is fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get that shit under control.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get that unlocked. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's important. Just like learning little things like that.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Speaking of tips like that, we had a little list of tips here, both tips for musicians who are going into the studio and tips for people who want to get into recording and engineering and mixing and mastering and all that stuff. Let's talk about, since we were just talking about like bands in the studio, let's talk about what musicians should be doing.
Yeah,
I think there's some great points on this list.
So yeah, if
first one that you mentioned was prepping the instruments.
Yeah, that's important. So yeah, if you're going to go to the studio maybe for the first time or maybe not the first time, but here's a couple things that would really help everyone, like including the guy who's working on your music. Going in there with instruments that are of good quality and like they're in tune, they're intonated, like you need to get them set up, you need to get them fresh strings for like, you shouldn't be playing the strings before you go and like get brand new strings like day of.
Yeah.
Get your guitar set up, have it set up for the tuning of the song. Make sure that you actually have a completed demo. That is very important. Have a completed demo.
Yeah.
And don't go in there with like, I had like this voice note of this idea. Here's like a couple guitar chords off of a click. It's like,
it's not the place to experiment.
No, because you're wasting everyone's time.
Yeah,
like
you want to have those like songs and parts all done,
and then you're just making the studio a negative and stressful environment, and that's not what it should be.
Yeah,
and then the producer just looks like an asshole because he's obviously going to be frustrated.
All the other members of the band are sitting there being like, "Well, this is costing us money, dude."
Yeah, So have your shit ready. Know what your parts are.
Yeah,
like be proficient with your time. That's very important because you're on this dude's time.
Yeah.
And if he wants to just be like, dude, you guys are so unprepared. Like, this is it. Like, you guys just need to leave and come back. Like, he could do that if he wants, and he's probably going to do that if you're not prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be prepared. It's very important. Be prepared. Have your instruments inspected, tuned up, have them ready to go. Or if they have equipment there, that's better. Obviously use their stuff because it's what they know
beforehand whether they have it or not,
Yeah, exactly. Like get all that stuff figured out, like heads for the drums. Does he have a drum set? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And make sure that your demo is to a click. Usually that's what we do now.
Yeah.
So
record and practice and all that stuff to a metronome, right?
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. No one likes to have a demo that's not to the grid and then you're kind of just like, you're fighting it.
That was a thing that I had trouble with for a long time. Like I used to practice and just sit there and noodle around and have fun. It was fun, but I wasn't putting in the work.
Right, yeah.
And I think it was like an ego thing with me where I was sitting there and I'm just like, no, I'm good. I don't need a metronome. I can play the drums. So, I can also just keep time in my head.
Your tempo fluid.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like when you're sitting there playing an instrument, like there's literal psychological concepts where they know that your perception of time is changing. So it's like basically impossible for you to be perfectly on beat.
Yeah.
So just use a metronome.
Yeah,
that's what they're for.
Like it's so easy. We have cell phones, we have apps, we have computers, we have so many things. There's even like little watches now that vibrate like a tempo.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's an app that I can get for this that would have like a vibration to the tempo. But there are like actual devices that are just for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't they have one for drummers that's like it's either a seat or like a chest thing? They wear it on their chest and like they feel it like.
Yeah, I think I might have seen something like that.
I think they were called like Pulse or something like. Yeah.
Like I know I've seen the wrist ones. There might be like a little necklace one or something.
Yeah.
Or if not, then maybe we should coin that.
Yeah, patent pending. And then there was another point in here for. Oh, there's two. These kind of go together. Here's both the points. So the first one is format songs for the audience / motivation, and then support the message.
Right. Yeah. That's important. Those are both very important. Like, okay, what kind of music are you writing? What kind of crowd are you trying to appeal to? Like, what is your target audience?
Yeah.
These are things you need to find out. And let's just say, okay, let's say you're a metal band, okay? All right, cool. Then you're going to obviously appeal to a certain crowd of people, then you need to, formulate your music to fit that type of thing.
Yeah.
Or like, let's say if you're doing, I don't know, pop is too predictable. So let's just say like an alternative rock band, but you still want to maybe get some radio time because, that's obviously a lot of people listen to radio. So you need to format your song in a way that it's not just like all these random monotonous parts that just drag on, like an intro to another intro, chorus 1, right. Verse 2, verse 3. Whoa, what about verse 1? Where are you guys going? You guys got to like pull it together and just, okay, here's a quick 15-second intro. Nothing like that drags on forever because you have like 15 seconds to please someone when they hear your music for the first time. Yeah. And if they just like, this is next, swipe next.
Yeah.
Like on Spotify, I do this too. I do this all the time. Like 15 seconds, you got to grab them right away. And then you just got to get into your verse. Yeah. Get into your theme, your chorus, go back to the verse, like that's just like how the song is. Like that's the feel of the song. Like that's like the entity of the song. Yeah. And I don't know if it's really just a bunch of random parts, people are going to most likely end up turning off your song. Yeah. And no one wants that. And that's why you also go to a producer because he'll help you with that. You like, if you come in with a 5-minute song, like for me, I would honestly just take the 5-minute song and chop it up into blocks and start moving some stuff around and be like, okay, well, here's like a 3-minute song and it flows way better. There isn't any weird parts where you're just like
what just happened? Yeah.
It still didn't change. Like, yeah, keep it moving, keep the energy going. And also you want to obviously support what is the main like message of your song? Like what are the lyrics? What is the song about? Yeah. What's the overall emotion, the feel? You don't want to be like doing some choppy lead over like maybe something that is like the main focus, like a lyric that is maybe sad or like of someone's death, it's like emotional. You don't want to be like shredding away and like taking the attention away. Maybe do something like more like calming and like emotional, like something more droney, something that would contrast, not something that's just like, look at me, at me.
You're supporting the emotion as opposed to like displaying your skills or whatever.
Serving the song and don't serve yourself, serve the song. Super important. Yeah. Like sometimes you need to take a step back and like look at everything as a big piece. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's even nice to just get like, some of your friends just to check out the song and they can just tell you, just be like, be real with me. Like, how is the song? Hopefully they'll be like, it just sucks, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. The few times that I've actually gone to like a real place to record was I was in this period in my life. I used to play bass. I still play bass, but not in a band. But, so like playing bass, I was getting into like doing like sweep arpeggios and like
I remember,
just going nuts on there, right? The thing is that doesn't really have a place in a lot of the music that I was playing. So I would go into the studio and I'd be like, oh yeah, so we're gonna do this part, and then I'm just gonna do like a little run here, and the engineer would just be like, yeah, okay, so we're gonna get this started. He'd record the first part, and then he'd just like skip the next part that I want to do. It's like, oh, wait, hold on. And then he'd be like, dude, it doesn't support the song. Like, it doesn't help in any way. No one's going to hear it. No one's going to notice it.
It's harder to mix a song like that, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have, like, the bass really supporting the fundamental frequencies, the root notes. Yeah. It sometimes can be very difficult to mix that as well.
Yeah. Actually, we were talking about doing some recording of old tunes that I'd written. Yeah. And you're going to yell at me for doing that at one part. There's literally just like guitars going and then the bass is like,
well, if that is the point of the song, then that works.
Yeah.
If that's what it's about, it will work.
And that's what I wrote it for. It was literally like warm-up practice. Yeah. So it works.
Yeah, right. That's your target, your motivation. Like what is this song? It's just a fuckery of mayhem, and I'm just fucking going at it. Yeah. That's what the song is about, then it works.
Yeah, guitar wankery.
Yeah. If your song is about like a breakup or something maybe emotional or just anything, Like you just
Like
have to
focus
support
it.
it. Yeah, you just got to support it and have things that work with it. Because like when you're recording a song and you have all the tracks down, like you want to do things that enhance the song and not just take attention and put it here and there.
Yeah.
You're basically just like telling a story and you're building up and you're just painting a picture the whole time. And at the end, the picture will start to all make sense and it's like climactic. Then, maybe you could show off a little bit,
Yeah.
once it's at that climax. But
like, yeah, I mean, people get tired of like if they're listening to a song and you're just handing them like, here's a cool riff, here's a cool riff, here's a cool riff. It's like that's all right, but
it doesn't go anywhere.
yeah, is it deeper than that at all? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if you're just looking for tunes just to fucking go crazy and headbang, that's the purpose of that. Yeah.
yeah,
It all depends on the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm not saying that like a song that has riffing is bad, but it just depends on what you're trying to convey and if it's appropriate or not. It's not like it's,
Right.
That's not like it's a bad thing, but there's a time and obviously a place for everything.
yeah, yeah,
So don't not do it.
Yeah.
But just know what you're trying to go for.
That's like that. The advice of like stick to the message isn't necessarily applicable to like progressive bands who are
Right.
just trying to do weird stuff.
Right. It's totally different.
Yeah, like that's what they're trying to shoot for. So
Right. Like you
do it
got
up.
a band like Protest the Hero from Canada. You know them, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
They're
yeah.
crazy. They're obviously not. They don't have a format.
Yeah.
They're just crazy, but it's awesome.
It's
So
like-
it works.
What do they call that? Like mathcore or something like that, where they're just like,
Yeah.
amazing.
It's crazy.
Bassist is phenomenal. That
Yeah.
band. Oh god, he's so good.
It works. It works.
Yeah, it really does. But that's what they're shooting for.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into our next part, which is the lessons for people trying to become engineers and like guiding a band and telling them that, hey, like maybe this part doesn't work that great, or like this doesn't support the message, this would support it better. That isn't necessarily the job of an engineer,
Right.
but it does make you a better engineer.
Yeah. People can respect that, and some people might want to come to you just because of that.
Yeah.
And like
Guidance.
Yeah, like when people hear my music and the stuff that I make, like a lot of people that I record, like they like that and they're into what I do. So like they think that what I think, it has weight, it has value, and they respect my decisions and what I feel is necessary. And obviously at the end of the day, it's your product, so you can do what you want. And if you want like my 2 cents, I'll give it to you. I'll definitely give it to you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go against anything that you wouldn't want at the same time.
Yeah, that's a big sign of like a good engineer. It's like you're still going to give them what they want, but you are going to try and hone it to something that's
Yeah,
more.
I'm going to try to help you out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be an asshole, but I will try to help you.
So that's a really good point. The first one on the list that you had for people getting into engineering recording is start with the basics.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, like we were talking about that in terms of equipment, but I feel like that applies to kind of a lot. Like you're not just starting and trying to like record a drum set.
Yeah, there's a lot involved. It's this crazy thing, but having all this technology definitely helps. Like having MIDI drums, that all helps a lot. And if you're gonna like demo stuff out, it'd be easiest to do like MIDI, computer drums, to get your shit out. But yeah, like if you're first starting off and you kind of want to go the route of recording, just like a small setup, a simple and effective setup would be like a 2-channel interface. I mean, anything now, basically, like anything past like $100, like is pretty honestly fine. It's clean. It's
We're
fine.
recording through actually this is an interface that you gave me.
Yeah.
The Focusrite 2i2.
Yeah.
The Scarlett
And
series.
it works.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like the only difference between this and another interface is just more inputs, and then you're looking at different features like maybe software or whatever. But you don't really need all that stuff, and you don't have thousands of dollars. You just need to get some basic stuff that works and it's clean and it does its job good.
Yeah.
So like you could get the Scarlett 2i2. It's not expensive. It's got 2 inputs, and you can do vocals, you can do guitar. You could, if you really wanted to record drums, you could probably do like some overheads, whatever. Or for the sake of just being proficient, just do MIDI. Come to a real studio if you want to do drums, or if you want to learn how to do drums, then lessons are definitely something you want to look at, because that's a big avenue.
Yeah.
But
find a resource for that stuff.
like a budget microphone, like this MXL right here, that's perfectly fine for doing vocals. If you want to spend any more money, you could get 7B from Shure, and you can basically, you don't even need a treated room for that, because like it picks up like so close to the capsule, like you could be like further away, and it doesn't really pick it up as well. So
Right.
yeah, get a Shure SM7B for vocals. It works good.
That's for if you've watched any of the other podcasts, that's typically what I'm going through.
Yeah.
On the
It's got
live
like
stream, that's what I use, and I literally use that on the live stream so that people don't hear as crazy of an echo. I haven't really totally figured it out, so there's no echo yet. But like I'm sitting at an editing desk, and there's speakers right there, and then there's a microphone right here. So it's great for things like that.
It's
for doing
got
really
good rejection.
specific sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got good rejection, and it doesn't like hype up low end, high end. It's pretty just true and flat. So you can really shape it, EQ it like crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would recommend those two things. And maybe for like budget speakers, just get like, I don't know, like a cheap pair of M Audios or something.
Yeah.
If you want to go into the mixing route eventually, you will definitely need some high end speakers.
Yeah.
They're a lot easier to read and just to listen to, because like phase accuracy, just like a real true image of what you should be hearing is important. Like the clarity, like there's a ton of different monitors, and you know they all work. Obviously, they all push sound.
Yeah.
So just start off with something, a couple $100. You got those couple things. You got 2 monitors, your mic, and your interface. That's your basic setup. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
Find what DAW you like. Maybe go on Google, search a couple things. You got Mac, like Logic Pro, Ableton. What else is Mac? I don't know. I'm not a huge Mac guy, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think of one.
Pro Tools, there's Cubase,
Audacity,
yeah. Sony Acid. There's
Reason,
Reaper.
Yeah.
And the one I use is from Band Labs called Cakewalk, which used to be called Sonar. It's free now, so it's literally cost nothing. So go get Band Lab Sonar. It's completely free.
Interesting.
I paid
put a link
$500
down in the description for that, because that's like intense.
And it's got like some really cool features. Like it's got a feature where it does this double synchronization for vocals. So you select your guide track, and then you apply it to the double, and it just like shapes it exactly like super tight. So you do doubles, triples, and it just aligns it. It's like vocal line basically.
Oh wow!
But you get that shit for free.
Wow!
On top of having a DAW, so it's sweet.
That's intense.
It's cool. It's sweet.
There is really a lot that you can do with the basics, and I mean, like we were talking about mics, where it's like here's the difference in quality, and the difference in price is like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, like
even with the difference between these and the 7B, that's like what, $300-$400?
Yeah, it's like $400.
And then this is like 60-70. If you find like these ones I found, there were, I think, open box on Amazon or something like that, but it was like $65 for a mic, and they do pretty darn good.
Yeah,
but for that upgrade jump, which it is a significant upgrade jump, the 7B, it's like a couple $100 more. So you can start off with real simple things and get good quality as long as you're researching what you're getting.
And you have plugins. You can apply all these EQs, de-essers, whatever, compressors, multi-band compressor. So much stuff you can do. There's literally plugins now that you can just put on my voice right now, and it takes all the weird sibilant high-end like gross stuff out. Yeah, there's like plugins that just automatically get rid of gross noises. Like,
I mean, like you're probably not going to hear those gross sibilant high-end things, because I'm going to put that plugin on. I've been using I use Adobe Audition, and they've got some good effects racks stuff that you can put in. I usually just do vocal compressor and then parametric EQ with like a vocal thing, so it cuts the low end. It sort of fixes the EQ just a little bit, but just a little bit of treatment, and it makes these mics sound pretty darn good.
Yeah, you can get a lot out of it.
So we're in a pretty dead environment too. Like there's a lot of carpet down here. There's like different heights of the ceiling, so we're not getting a lot of reflection off of that. Which brings us to the next point that you mentioned, which was treat the room.
Yeah, sound treatment. So if you're gonna get into like, let's say you want to get a condenser microphone because it is just a stronger microphone. It picks up more detail. It's going to pick up your room. Like, it's going to pick up reverb, reflection. Yeah. So it's really important to start getting into the realm of sound treatment. So you want bass traps for your corners because sound, when it hits corners, it just basically goes fucking crazy and it builds up. Like all your low end will build up in your corners. That's why they have bass traps. So you put those bass traps in the corners and it kind of like acts as like a sponge and it just takes on the sub and it doesn't really let it come back out. It might let some come back out.
Yeah.
Like if you're blasting low end and you have a smaller room. But bass traps are important. That will help clean up the lower end in your mix and help translate better.
Yeah.
You could do foam, but that really only does like a little mid-range. It doesn't really do any high-end, like really trebly kind of stuff.
That's more like diffusion, right? And it's not sound absorption.
It scatters it.
Okay, yeah.
So like, there's all kinds of different types of sound treatment. But something easy and that's cheap that you can actually make is if you just go to like Home Depot and buy a big pack of Roxol Sound Safe or Safe and Sound.
Yeah.
You get like 16 pieces in there, but it's like 2-inch. It's really thick type of insulation that they use to like soundproof your house. So you can just get those big slabs of rock wool, just make a frame, slap it in there, put like a type of canvas over it or something that can hold like a fabric,
Yeah.
And then you have like perfectly good just sound panels you can put up on your wall.
Dang.
And that gets rid of a lot of low end mids and it just makes your room extremely tight and it's great for vocals. So I would definitely make a bunch of those, put them in your room, put them on the sides and your behind your desk, put them behind your desk, and then your back wall you want to really treat that with bass traps. Any corner you need bass traps for sure.
Okay.
And
you guys have there's another type of diffusion that you have at the studio, and I'm not sure like how you implement it, but I know that you can like make it. If you have like the formula basically.
Right. So there's room calculators online that you can type in the dimensions of your room, and it will give you like this graph of like what's the proper diffuser that will work for your room ideally.
Oh, cool.
And it's like a 2x2 square, and there's like these dowels, these square dowels that you cut 1 to 4 inches, and they're all scattered. So you look at the diagram and it'll be like 1, 4, 2, 3, and it's just you have to glue them all in, cut them all up. It's a pain in the ass, but it beats buying it because diffusers are really expensive.
Yeah, and you want it to be more or less like specific to your room too.
Yeah,
because then you can get it like it pretty dialed in.
Yeah,
that's called skyline diffusion, right?
Skyline diffusion. See, I don't know everything about this stuff, but skyline diffusion, I think, is like diffusion for your ceiling. Maybe.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. I thought they called it like that dowel stuff, skyline diffusion, because it looks like a city skyline.
Okay.
It's like,
well, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't fucking know. You learn shit every day. I don't know. I'm just winging shit.
Yeah. There's actually. I'd like to show you these. There's these sound traps that they have on Amazon that are like you get like 2 24 by 24 panels for like $80 or something like that, but they have like nice walnut tops and like all those. They just look beautiful.
I've seen those. They look pretty nice.
They have charts on them too that say like, all right, this is the frequency range that it affects, and then it doesn't affect here, and then it does a little effect here.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool because you actually know what the heck you're doing.
I might drop some links to those in the description. I forget what they're called, but they seem like really good options. And I'll run them by you. I'll get your opinion on them first, and I'll tell people in the description what you said about them. So
but sound treatment is very important. Important. Yeah. You don't want to be hearing reflections in your vocal track, and when you start compressing your vocals, you're gonna hear all the reverbs and all the the stuff in the room. So, tightening it up. I've even recorded in closets and just like draped big thick blankets around. Just to get
moving blankets and stuff?
just to get it dead.
Yeah.
But like, just do whatever you have to do. Just get your vocals sounding like you're not in some hallway. Just get it, just like pure like this.
Yeah.
It's very like just dry.
Yeah.
That's what you want to sound like.
That sounds great.
If you compress me over here, you're going to hear the room. And if you compress me right here, it's going to sound pretty nice.
Yeah. So there's going to be a compressor on this. You'll hear the difference right there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So check 1, check 2, check 3. Check 4. Yeah, you obviously will hear the difference.
Yeah.
But sound treatment will help you get rid of that. And if you're dealing with if you're recording bands, I've had some singers like move around and like do stuff like this like while they sing.
Yeah, okay.
And it can really mess things up because if they're doing this, it's like you're moving off and on the diaphragm and you're projecting your voice different places, and like sometimes you can hear the room and stuff. So
going on and off axis like that.
Yeah, like this is already not good. But if you hear room with it, it's just like it's fucked.
Yeah, it just gets terrible. And then you gotta like retrack. So yeah, that comes in with the whole like, you know, being critical when you're in an engineering setting, which we had a thing. Okay. Yeah. Be thorough / attention to detail was a point that you made, which goes along with what you were saying before with having someone to be there, be like, okay, this part maybe doesn't serve the song, or this part needs to be, you got to like, you know, play it a little bit differently.
Yeah. That's something you pick up on after a while. Some people might pick up on it sooner, some later.
Yeah.
But like knowing what sounds good, and you just need to be extremely aware. Like when I hear things, like I'm picking out so much shit like that, it just annoys me. It bothers me. Like if I hear stuff, like it makes me like cringe, and like I won't feel better until it's either fixed or like done correctly. And that's just something that over time you're gonna start picking up on things like, oh, the guitars, those chords are like a little out of tune. Some people don't really even like bother to notice that for some reason. Like there's like no self-awareness. But I don't know, there's just like a point where you're confident in what you're doing, and now you're starting to pick up on even smaller, tiny, minute things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that vocal has like just this weird resonant frequency, like it sounds like really nasally. Just try singing it maybe like a little more chesty, or just whatever, like guitar's out of tune, like just like little things that pop out and just don't sound good. You need to be able to pick up on that.
What are some like I feel like when it comes to bass, there are some things that stand out. Like, okay, if you're
dead strings stand out.
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so that's a quick thing. You know, like having fresh strings for bass it makes so a big difference.
That's so important.
Yeah,
like if you don't have fresh strings on bass, it's not going to sound good.
Yeah,
like it's not.
Go home.
Go home. Jeez.
And then like with guitarists, I feel like squeezing too hard on the neck is going to be a quick thing, because like your guitar might be in tune, but you squeeze too hard, you're going to start pushing those notes out.
And also having too thick of a pick, because that actually detunes your strings as well.
Oh, because you're hitting it with like a harder object?
Yeah, and there's no flex. Wow. Like if you have a pick that flexes more, it like kind of springs off, and it's like a natural compressor. But when you're using a thick-ass pick, you're literally pushing the string, and like it can go out of tune slightly, like when you do chugs or like palm muting.
Wow.
It's like,
so you're a huge fan of guitarists that use like those slate picks then, right? You know, like those really heavy duty, like,
oh God.
Just you can cut through a set of strings with those.
Just slightly detuning ever so slightly every take.
Oh, jeez.
Even for bass, I like around a 70 to an 80.
Okay.
Because you can hit it really hard without it. You know, like you're not really pushing the string, but you can hit it really hard, and like the flex just like flings the string and it pops real nice.
Okay.
So it acts as like a natural compressor in that sense, and it just works out. So that's one little thing right there. Like picks are even important.
Yeah.
Just be mindful of that. String tension is important, because obviously like if it's not the right string tension, it's not going to be intonated right. It's not going to like feel right. Yeah. And you're going to have a mess. It's not going to be right.
That's where being set up, having your instrument set up in the key that you're going to be recording in is like, that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it's not trying to like stretch or settle into a different key.
Mm-hmm. Like you're hitting a string that has way too much slack, and there's just like it's detuning every time you hit a note a certain way.
Are there any things that you find? I think I know what you're going to say for this. What's something for drummers that you find you're constantly having to like remind them of?
All right. Well, first thing is just hitting properly.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
I'm not going to name any names or anything, but just from my experience, I've had drummers that beat the piss out of the cymbals.
Yeah.
And they just don't hit the shells very hard. And like, first off, the cymbals are the loudest thing on drums. Like it's a metal disc. It's a large metal disc.
Yeah. Highly resonant.
Yeah. So, when you're mixing drums, the hardest thing to combat is like it's the cymbal bleed. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And when someone hits it, like they're just bashing on the cymbal, and it's kind of like pop. It's like it's very hard to salvage that, because you can't really get the drums to slam and hit hard.
Like more force on the actual drum heads.
Yeah.
and less force on the cymbals.
Yeah, like Dave Grohl talks about this. It's called mixing yourself. Like if you were to hear a recording, like right now, like of a modern, band, and you listen to the drum set, what's the prominent things you're hearing? You're hearing the kick and the snare.
Yeah.
The cymbals are dialed back quietly in the mix.
Yeah.
So if you even just play like that, then you're automatically giving the engineer way more of like headroom.
Yeah.
And it's already turning out to be the way it's supposed to sound in the end, which helps everything.
Gotcha.
It helps everybody.
Yeah.
But-
Reduces bleed into the other microphones and stuff like that. Yeah.
And it feels weird to play like that, but once you practice doing it, you can get it down and you'll hear the difference. Like,
Wow.
like I'll practice on the drum kit at the studio, and like that's something I really practice on.
Yeah.
Just like, it's like fucking.
Yeah. Smack the drums and then
I want it to sound like it's already
play the
mixed.
cymbals.
I want it to sound like how it would sound in the recording.
Gotcha.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of tricks you can do with drums, but you have to pay me to hear that. So yeah, we'll talk about that later.
So what's something that's with vocalists that you typically end up talking to them about?
Moving around too much.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause
So
there's this thing.
keeping your head placed.
Yeah, you notice
Yeah.
how there's a lot of bass in my voice when I move back and forth?
Yeah.
That's something called the proximity effect. And when you're moving all around like this, you can't really mix a vocal one certain way because every take is different. So
Yeah.
you're making it extremely hard to have a solid vocal tone that's just like, that's it. So I would have them recommended like a 6-inch away, just because if you're too close, then
Start getting plosives.
you start getting all the all that hairy jerry there. But yeah, just like a good 6 inches. If it's really loud, have it move back.
Yeah.
But
As I slightly move back from
Yeah.
my microphone.
But it also depends what you're aiming for. If you're doing some
Yeah.
like soft spoken stuff where you're like, yeah, man, like get close because you're not going to be loud.
Yeah.
But the louder you are, usually a little further back you want to go.
Gotcha.
But still, like, don't move. Keep the proximity where you are, because when you start moving around, the mix is going to sound different, and like the low end just goes away in your voice.
Yeah.
So
That's something that vocalists have to do in a live setting even too. Like if they're singing with a dynamic mic, like I think about like female singers that go into like a really, really high pitched, powerful run.
they pull it back.
Yeah, they pull it back because in order to hit those high notes, they have to force air. They really gotta project.
Yeah.
And you can't do that right into a microphone, or everyone's
Right.
gonna be.
There's like a medium for where your gain stage, and if like where you're singing at, like half the time it's like at a certain range, and they have the mic set for that range, and if you're just going to go super loud out of nowhere, it's just going to distort.
Yeah.
So they're trying to like peel it back to like match it.
Yeah.
So that it helps definitely.
Oh jeez. I remember helping out. Like I helped out with sound for a show, and it was like, it wasn't really a show. It was like at a skate venue that there were people playing music, But I just remember seeing this vocalist that would play guitar, and I was like riding his mic gain because he would like, and then
man.
grab the mic and then go like right in there. It's like, dude, what do you want me to do?
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You were doing live vocal automation on the fly.
Yeah.
There's plugins that do that. That's crazy. Was that the place in Nutropoli, the skate?
Oh no, this was up in where was that? I think that was like Saskatchewan.
Oh, that's definitely Canada.
Oh yeah, this is Canadian for sure. I remember we showed up at the venue, and this is in Ontario. This is the first venue that we played in Ontario on our tour across the country. We showed up, and it was like we're trying to like get a nap before the show, and the only place that we could sleep was like the top of this half pipe.
Oh my god!
Which was the entire venue was a half pipe, by the way.
That's crazy.
It was a lot of fun because when we started to play, I started running up and down the half pipe with a little wireless system
That's
on.
sweet.
But yeah, I just remember there's 4 of us lined up on this half pipe, conked out, and people are skating at the time. We're just like, oh god, yeah, it was interesting venue for sure. But
You go through
what
some
a show.
crazy stuff
Yeah.
touring, some crazy stuff. You meet crazy people, crazy places,
Oh yeah,
crazy situations. It is
shoot.
nuts.
I remember there was a venue that we pulled up. It was right in this area in Vancouver. They have a road that's like basically to help curb drug use in their city. They have this one street where there's always police officers and paramedics present, and you're not going to get in trouble if you like shoot heroin there or, you know, smoke crack or something. Our venue was like right on that block. So I remember pulling up in the van and we're sitting there and like the buddies, there's people sitting in the front seat. We have our lights on and everything. We just pulled in and two guys literally come up to like the front of the thing. Like they're in our mirror right next to someone just like smoking crack. And it's like,
oh my God,
dude, like we're still in the car, man. Like give us a second.
Wow.
Yeah, that was intense.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love touring. You definitely find some interesting people.
Oh my god. Actually, I have a crazy tour story.
Oh yeah.
In Montreal, we were crossing
It's
over.
almost Canada.
It is Canada, dude. They don't fuck around. They have like AR-15s and shit. Dude, we rolled up. We're crossing the border.
Yeah.
And our bass player, I won't say any names, but he was yelling out the van window. He was going, "Oh, help me! They got me locked in here. Someone help me!
Oh my God!"
Like just terrorizing people on the bridge coming in. We pull up to the bank next to the venue, and SWAT cars just come up and like mad guys just with guns swarm our van.
Oh my God!
Like, we just got a call about a black van crossing the border. They had someone locked in the back. Is this you guys? There's someone screaming back here, and we had to like make up some shit story, like, "Oh yeah, we were practicing vocals. Cause we're going to a show. That was me screaming." And like, "Oh, cheers." We're like shitting our fucking pants, dude.
They're just like, "Oh, have a good day."
Yeah, we're like, "Oh my God." They literally had like SWAT fucking cars, trucks or whatever.
Oh God,
that was the first time we were in like Canada, and it was super intimidating.
That's funny because you know everyone says that it's such a nice place and that there's no guns there, but your first experience was
there was guns,
really intense, and there were a lot of guns. Wow!
But then it was awesome. After that, I had poutine for the first time.
Oh, yeah, that makes up for it.
It was great. Yeah, it totally made up for it. Poutine.
For those of you who don't know, poutine is French fries with cheese curd and gravy on top, like beef gravy, and it's just it's a hearty meal. Keeps you warm.
From human trafficking to poutine. That's what that is.
Jeez. So we had a couple more points on this list for engineers. The next one that you have is find a resource for learning mixing.
Yeah.
Because like mixing is a big thing.
Yeah, it is, and it's not something that is just going to come naturally. Like you're not just going to like get bit by a radioactive spider and you're just going to become like super mixer man.
You could go all Neo and just like I can mix.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. You can have like a good ear, but you're not going to know the technicalities of like, you know, the frequency spectrum and what lies in that spectrum, and parallel compression, and you know, top-down mixing and mastering and all these crazy terms and everything. Yeah. You know, like drum mics being out of phase, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you need to find some route or avenue to get mixing, either like tutorials or one-on-one lessons. That's something I actually do. And I just started doing that now. It's called King's Academy. Nice. And I'm doing like one-on-one teaching, like mixing, production skills, like everything just audio related. Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm doing.
That's huge.
There's all kinds of avenues to learn mixing. So
yeah. Is that are people going to be able to find that like on your website, or is that on?
That's something we're going to work on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Doing the website there. Yeah.
But yeah, that's something for 2020. I want to focus on that a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah,
definitely.
I know. Like whenever I hear mixing mentioned, it's usually like, oh, so and so is going to mix and master. Mm-hmm. Mixing is different than mastering, right? Yeah. How is like what's the differences there?
Like they can go hand in hand, and I personally think that they should go hand in hand, because whoever is mixing your music, like what I do is I'm mixing through a mastering chain already, so I know how the tracks are determined and set up and routed. Like everything is done a specific way, so by the time it reaches my outboard gear, my compressor, and like my converters and stuff, like it's all a very specific way. And if you weren't like doing that, like if you just had, like what I do is I have an output set onto my DAW where it's going out of my computer. Like I'm not mixing in the box, it's going through a bunch of gear. Like if you were just to do it like, you know, the stereo outs on your interface, it would sound way different than what's being pumped into my outboard gear. So how could you properly know how to mix a song and how it's going to react to my compressors? Right. You know, so that's something that should, I think, go hand in hand, but it doesn't always go hand in hand. But if it does, I think it's going to turn out way better, because if it's the same person doing it, like they know how it needs to be set up, and there's less cross like crosstalk going back and forth, like, oh, can you turn the drums up? The drums aren't poking through. Can you do this, do that? Like,
Yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
takes away some of that. But if you have like some hot shot mastering dude, then most of the time they'll just work with the mixer anyways, and they already kind of have like a thing that they do between each other,
like a process.
like like they have done it before. They know what they need to do for each other.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. And then you were saying that like one of the earlier points that we made, the treating your room is really important for mixing.
Oh yes, if you're gonna start mixing, you absolutely need to treat your room. That's very important, because if your room is not treated, you're gonna hear a bunch of weird stuff floating around your room, and like it's gonna sound like cloudy and hazy. Like low end is gonna build up, and you're gonna hear stuff from back here hitting you, and it's just disorienting, and you can't really know how your mix is gonna apply in the real world when there's frequencies bouncing around and jumping all at you. So it needs to be contained, and just like you need to quarantine your sound. You got to like lock down on it, basically.
That. Quarantine your sound.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
That's right.
So that's right. That next point that you made is learn mastering or find someone.
Yeah, totally. There's like softwares now that you can use that will get you pretty far, and they're effective. Like Ozone has like this automatic mastering thing. Like you can send it to like eMaster for like $5 or whatever, or you could like hire someone who is gonna appreciate your work and maybe like put more effort than some automatic mastering thing. Like someone who's gonna obviously give it more attention to detail, like we said before, and put more detail in it. And if you can't master yourself, you should definitely hire someone. It's not even like expensive. You can find people for like $50 to $100. Like I'll do it. I'll do it for free. No, I won't. But hit me up.
But he doesn't. Yeah.
I do it. I do it. But it is important, because like mastering is what is coming out of your DAW and what is going to be on iTunes, Spotify. Like that's that final bridge that takes your music and make sure that it's compatible for the right things that it's going to, like distribution. Like they need a specific format for a wave. Like it needs to be 16-bit, 41 kilohertz, 41,000 or whatever. It needs to be a specific format, and if it's not, then they'll reject it. And if your shit is clipping, they'll reject it as well. So that's what mastering also does. It kind of just bottlenecks any fucking transients from going over zero. Yeah. So it's important to have that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, there's so many different formats too that like it's got to be a real process to like learn all the different steps that you have to take, all the different like I think about in terms of filmmaking, you have to do the same thing. Like there's if you're trying to produce something and then sell it on Netflix, they have like a list of cameras that you can use. They have a list of like all of this. They have like parameters that you have to meet. If you don't meet them, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you get cut.
Yeah. So like if you try and submit something to CD Baby and it's not the right format, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't just like bounce it down and just hope to God that it works.
Yeah.
Maybe it will. Maybe you'll get lucky. But you should always get your stuff mastered.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's like the final destination. You're taking it and you're kind of beefing it up. You're helping it just overall be at a professional volume. And also just like, it's just like putting the final touches on a painting, like putting little raindrops in the, the water or whatever.
It's the final mix down.
Exactly. Like
Jesus, I had to, sorry.
You're giving it some air, some beef. You're giving it some stereo width, some clarity.
Yeah.
Going through mastering converters already is going to give it a lot of ballsiness and like depth. And it's just going to add something that a computer can't do. Like, so it is important. So yeah, mastering people.
Gotcha.
It's important.
All right. Well, that's the tips for. We had tips for engineers. We had tips for musicians going in to record.
Yeah.
This is a wealth of knowledge in this one. I'm gonna have to add so many notes at the end to the edit. It's gonna be great. So I mean, because we've talked all over the planet now, let's talk about some things that are upcoming for you. Stuff that you guys are working on and stuff that you have coming out soon.
So actually something that we're working on right now, which you guys will be able to check out. It's pretty sweet. We both worked super hard on this. For a project I'm working on right now, it's called Visionary. I'm doing vocals and producing, recording, like doing the whole production. We got Ryan on guitars. He also works at my studio. So yeah, it's a project called Visionary, and it's like It's like I don't even know if it's a 3 or 4 piece or what it is.
Is that Foley on drums?
Yeah, Foley was on drums. He was on the podcast before.
Yeah. You know Foley.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Foley was doing drums, but it was a cover song for a series that just came out on Netflix called The Witcher, which is it's kind of blowing up a little bit. It's doing really well.
Yeah.
And Henry Cavill's on it. He did an awesome job. But also
he plays The Witcher really well.
Yeah,
like I started playing Witcher 3 since we started making this video, and like having seen the show in prep for the video and now playing the video game, it's like there's no one else that could really like do it that perfectly.
I'm so happy that they picked him.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
He was like, he's a super nerd too, so like he was so about it.
Yeah,
like he loves fantasy. Like he said ever since he was a kid, he was like so into fantasy. So
tight.
It was perfect. Like he's a big fan and great actor. So it works out.
That makes a big difference.
Netflix is gonna hopefully kill the rest of it too. Like I think season 1 they did a really great job.
They have like season 2 and 3 confirmed for production or something?
I think so. I think I've heard that they have the third season like gaslit. 2 is definite, but they have like 7 seasons planned out.
Damn,
just not confirmed.
Wow,
but that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to the cover song.
Yeah,
which is about The Witcher. It's a song that was on, I think, like the 3rd or 4th episode.
I think it's episode 3.
Yeah, toss a coin to your Witcher.
Yeah. Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Is played by, what's his name? Jaskier.
Jaskier.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce it. Or from the game Dandelion. You can just say Dandelion. Okay, so Jaskier, he's like a bard who travels around with his lute. Yep. Kind of like a vagabond, just getting into some trouble with people and writing songs and, playing for people at bars.
Trying to play for coin,
Playing for bread sometimes. But it was like it's like a meme song almost. Like it kind of blew up a little bit. And it's weird because like everyone just kind of like really likes the song and it kind of blew up. And it's like, you know what? I love The Witcher. I'm going to try to do a cover. I hit up Stay. And he's like, yeah, well, you know what? I know some people who like are really into like the lore and like, like medieval side of like battle and acting like side of things.
Yeah. There's people that, I'll probably talk to him at some point on here, but my buddy Kevin, he actually hand makes medieval armor. He created this cool breastplate for Ashley, who was one of the Witchers in the video. He was making all kinds of armor and he brought a bunch of his stuff so that we could use it as props in the video. And it honestly, like, that made a huge difference.
It made everything, honestly.
Yeah.
It really took it to the next level. Like
crazy.
When I first approached you, I was like, yeah, do you like know any wooded areas I could just like post up on and like do videos? Like, oh, wait a second. It's like, don't. He's like, I got a whole thing for you. It's like, just come on over.
Yeah.
He's like,
I mean, Kevin and I, we've been sort of like gently planning to do some like medieval shorts. Like we were just going to do some like stuff with slow-mo and make it look really cool and pretend we're doing combat and whatever. Be cool video. And then I think it was like 2 days later, you sent me a message like that and I was like,
perfect.
It's
like, dude, fate, and the show's all about fate and destiny.
Yeah.
It's right there. Boom, destiny. Yeah. Exactly.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Can't fight destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys will be seeing that. We're going to have it up on YouTube.
That'll be, February 12th the song comes out?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it all set up on distribution, ready to go.
We'll have the music video up for that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've been doing some producers logs to that. So if you want to see the behind the scenes, go check out the producers log. Yeah. It's on YouTube as well. Or if you're listening to this on BuzzFeed or in iTunes, all that stuff, go check out the YouTube Full Coverage Media Group, and you can see that stuff there.
Pretty sweet.
But you guys got all kinds of stuff coming out too. You've got new stuff for I Am King and Visionary.
Yeah, we're working on a boatload of songs for Visionary. We just kind of been like in the writing process a lot because we're just like, we're a little retarded when it comes to that kind of stuff. We just don't stop trying to like make it better. Yeah. Which is a downfall, but it makes you a little more proud at the end, I feel like. So we're just been spending a lot of time writing, and with I Am King now, later next month we're going to be writing a lot. Like just we have like 10 songs that are not quite done. So we're just gonna like patch them up, fix them up, do what we gotta do, get the drums on, mix, master, get it sent out. And so same for Visionary. Just those two things we're gonna work on like next 2 months. Just hopefully try to get all these songs out. Because that month I kind of like took a little hiatus off of recording bands because I'm trying to get the personal stuff done. So that is the time frame to get it done.
Oh yeah.
And when you when you're like working for yourself and like you're doing a lot of clients and you're kind of like bogged with a lot of work, sometimes you just need to like be like, okay, this month I just need to take off and like get my shit done. Because like it's really hard working on other people's like stuff and your stuff at the same time. Like when you're doing someone's work, like I know when I'm at the studio and it's like 6 or 8 hours of me just sitting there like editing, fixing, mixing. I come home, I want nothing to do with any of that.
So like your personal stuff kind of
it just gets pushed away.
It's either or. You can't really be doing like both in a full day. Yeah.
Like sometimes I will do that, but I don't like to write when I'm doing that just because like I feel mentally like and just like morale is low and I don't really have too much creativity when I'm just like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this chair. Like
yeah. You start getting antsy and cabin fevery.
Yeah. So, dedicate some time aside from that. Like plan it out. Maybe like a couple months away. Just give yourself some time to do what you like to do.
Yeah.
It's important,
Like I was doing I started the podcast. I started doing live streams. I was doing like gaming streams and producing streams.
A lot of stuff.
And then I was also doing freelance work for PBS. I was doing work up in New York for like doing PA work up there. And I was just trying to balance too many things. And I got like, it was like 2 weeks before the holidays. And I was like, okay, I didn't even think about like Christmas presents because I've been so in the game. And I decided I'm just like, okay, no work for a month.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Just take it off.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're human.
That made a huge difference too.
Yeah.
Like I was happier, first of all.
Yeah.
But second, like work was getting done to a higher quality.
Yeah.
Like I was just doing things better because I wasn't stressing about timelines or, I got to get this edit out today. It's like, no, this is for me. And I can say, like I put up a post like, I'll bring the podcast back in February.
Right.
I'm not even going to worry about it for all of January, even though like my hiatus was like mid-December. I'm like, I'm just going to take this time off and then I'm going to give myself time to ramp things back up again.
Yeah.
So like I'm recording this podcast and then there's one tomorrow and then there's one on Saturday.
Okay.
But they only come out once a week.
Right.
So like I'm trying to get ahead of the game.
Right. You're setting yourself up.
Yeah. That's a big thing. You got to take that time to de-stress.
Yeah.
Recalibrate.
Spend some time with your friends and family because you know what? You might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's all for nothing. So you got to take advantage of, living a little bit because it's important.
I feel like that was a big turning point in your career that even like I noticed.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where like you were just steamrolling through every single day. You just work every day. And then I remember you made the switch to, all right, guys, I'm taking weekends off.
Yeah,
like I'm not going to be at the studio for weekends.
Yeah, like I really have to.
Yeah.
Because I have cats now. Everything changes when you have cats. Everything does.
They take over your life.
They do. And if you're not there for them, then who is?
Yeah.
So.
And there's, I guess like family and stuff too. But,
oh, yeah.
Whatever.
No, yeah, you need to be human before anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
Well, hey, Justin, this has been a fantastic podcast. I really appreciate you coming out here.
Fun.
Yeah, this is we're gonna have you back for sure. This is a continuing conversation, but
absolutely
appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for joining us for another episode of the FCMG Podcast. We'll be back next week with another episode on Fridays. And if you want to catch us in the meantime, go to twitchtv.com/FCMG_stay. I do all kinds of streaming on there. And YouTube, it's Full Coverage Media Group. You can find King Studios online, kingstudiospa.com. You can find them on Facebook as well.
That's right.
Visionary is on there. They're on Instagram, Visionary Band PA, and then you'll find the specific Visionary that you're looking for. And thank you again.
All right.
As always, peace.
Cheers.